This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let us start, guys. It's 7:04. Let others join. Right. So we were discussing about storage and storage accounts, right? In our last discussion, we had seen the different types of storage services, right, within the storage, which includes blobs, right, queues, tables, and files. These are the different types of services that which are available within the storage. That will go and try to see all of them a little bit in detail and try to understand how do we create them and how do we use them and so on. And today we also see a tool called as Storage Explorer. Right? This is a tool which helps you to access and manage your storage accounts. So that tool we call it as that tool is a Microsoft tool, which is nothing but your Storage Explorer. Right? We're going to go and look at these two today. So first we'll look at those storage services. And if time permits, then we'll see file share, right? File share and file sync, file sync, right? And then we will be left with CDN, Content Delivery Network, which we will be looking at tomorrow. If time permits, we'll see file sync today. Otherwise, file sync and CDN will be, we'll look at tomorrow, right? So that those are the contents of your what do you call it as storage, right? Azure storage. Now let us quickly jump into the storage services itself, right? Now the other day when we were discussing, we had discussed that there is something called a storage account, and within the storage account you get multiple services. So now how do I create my own storage account? Go to the Azure storage and click on add. Then you get an option here to create a storage account. You can have multiple storage accounts based on your requirement, right? A storage account, as I said, is an unmanaged storage. What it means that you as an administrator will be managing the storage part of it, right? There is one more storage type called as managed storage, where Azure manages the storage and anything related around that. Okay, so let us go and create a storage account, right? As any resource that it will also ask you the subscription and resource group. Let me go and create a resource group called SRG, storage resource group, and select the storage account name. This account name will be unique, which means that uh, within that region, this account name should be unique and nobody should be using this particular name. Then I'll name it as demo, uh, which is storage account. Then I'll select the location as Central US. Okay, I'll select the location as Central US. Right. Now, based on the performance, they had provided into two categories, as we discussed the other day, standard and premium. Now, within the standard and premium, you have general purpose V1, V2, and blob storage. it's always recommended to go with general purpose D2 because you get all the latest features part of that one. Okay. Now we had also seen different types of replication methodologies, right? LRS, GRS, ZRS, and RAGRS, right? Locally redundant, which means that you will have 3 copies of the same data within the same region, right? Locally within the same location. And zone redundant is a solution of replication of the data to another zone, and then geo with a different geographical location altogether, which will be used for disaster recovery purposes, right? And there is something called as read access geo redundant. What it means is you will have read only access of the copy in a different geographical location, right? And for this lab, I'll go with LRS. And the access tier, as we discussed the other day, you have 2 types of access tiers. One is cold and cool and hot. Cool is basically performance will be very low, and the restoration time will take longer, right? And the cost is also less. Whereas hot, the performance of the storage will be very high, which means that if you want to restore the data, it will be faster when compared to your cool tier, right? So based on your requirement and demand, you either go with cool or hot tier, right? Now these are the different options you have at storage account level, right? We haven't gone to your services yet. So within this storage account, you will access the services. Okay. Let us go to the next option, which is called advanced. Let us see what is there in the advanced. So do you want to have a secure transfer, which means that as I said, most of these things will be used as URLs as well, right? When you access it, whether you want to have that as an HTTP or HTTPS, right? Now, does this storage account is available for which networks this storage account is available? If you want to specifically select certain network, you can go and select it. Select the virtual network. Only through those virtual networks, this storage account will be accessible. By default, it is all networks, which means that there is no restriction as such. Let us say that if it is a DMZ environment and you want only the DMZ through the DMZ network itself, it needs to be accessible, then you go and select a DMZ network, right? So because I want that to be accessible from all the networks, I'll select it as all, right? And there is something called as blob soft delete. What does it mean? You have a retention period, right? If you enable it, soft delete, you have a retention period. You can retain up to 365 days. What it means is even if you're deleting your data, you can go and retain or restore that particular data based on the number of days that we specify here, right? Now I'll leave that as disabled. And there is also something called as data lake storage. This is again used with your big data and other stuff. That's what I understand. So this is another option you have, right? Now these are the different options that which you have in advanced, and then tags, and then review and create, right? Now what did we do so far is we created a storage account, right? A storage account with demo VJ is created, right? This is your storage account which you created. Let us see. Right? Now within this storage account, you can create something called as multiple. You can go with multiple services. Now what are the multiple services you have here? You have 4 types of services, right? One is blobs, second one is tables, queues, files, right? These are the 4 types of services. Now if you are willing to use blob, let us say that you want to use blob services, right? To use blob services, you have to create something called as containers, right? To use blob services, we need to create something called as containers, right? For blob, we need containers. So A storage account can have multiple services, right? So if I go to the storage account that is created, yes, it is, right? Let me go to the storage account. Right? Your storage account name is demo VJ, and within this demo VJ storage account, you will have options to create different types of services. Right? You have option here to create blob, you have option to create files, you have option to create tables, you have option to create views. Now let us look at one by one. Okay. Now if I want to create a blob, as I said, if I want to create a blob, I have to create a container. Right? Now, so if it is a blob, what I have to do? I have to create a container. This container can hold different types of blobs, whatever the blob it might be. It can be either block blob, it can be page blob, or it can be append blob, right? So your storage account will be mapped. Your storage account will have a container, and container will have different types of blobs, right? It can have different types of blobs. Let us say that you are creating a block blob, or you can go and create another blob called page blob. You can create another blob called as append. So a container will have the blobs, right? Now let us go and look at how do we create a container and how do we use that. Let us go to the blobs. As we discussed in our other class, blobs contains the data which will be formatted in a format called blocks, right? Each file or a video or whatever you upload here will be stored as a blocks, right? You can also select the block size that we will be looking at in some time. Now, when you go and select a blob, when you go and select block, you will get an option called create a container, right? Let us go and create a container. Let us say that it is demo container. Enter demo container. Now within this container, to go to the container, you will get an option to upload the data, right? Which means a container will have different types of blocks. Now here you see an option called upload, and based on your file and based on your requirement, you go and upload the file, right? Now what type of blob is what you are defining here? If you click the drop down box, you can see whether it is a block blob, whether it is a page blob, or whether it is an append blob. Now as we discussed the other class, block blob is used to store the images, videos, or log files. Page blob will be used to store most of the times your VHD files, which means that your virtual machine hard disk files. And append blob is basically recommended to go and use for storing the logs, where you go and append certain logs to the existing one. That is what it is used for appending the logs, right? Now these are the different types of blocks you have within the blob, right? Within the blob you have different types of blobs. Now each blob, if you select a block blob, right, you have different sizes of blocks, right? Based on the size of the block you select, the amount of data what you can upload to this particular blob will vary. Now if I select 10,000 MB, what is the maximum amount of data that which I can upload onto this is around 4 TB or more than 4 TB, right? Now if you click it, you can see this information, right? Block and append blobs are comprised of blocks, and each block can support up to 50,000 blocks. Now 50,000 blocks, right? What is the total number of blocks? Your block blob will support 50,000 blocks. Now if each block size is 100 MB, then what is the size you are getting? 50,000 into 100, right? 50,000 into 100, which is around uh, some TVs, right? So we'll go and calculate it, right? 50,000, right? Into, if you are selecting the block size 100, then what you will get? You will get this much MB, which is divided by 1024, which is GB, and again divided by 1024, you get TB, right? You will get 4.76 TB. So if you are selecting a block size, if you are selecting a block size of 100 MB, so the total amount of data that what you can go and upload into a block, the maximum size that whatever you can upload into, because this is a maximum, right? The block size, the maximum size of the data that what can go into a block is 4.7 TB, right? 4.7 TB. Similarly, if you go and select your append block, now what is the size? You have only 4 MB, max 4 MB, which means that 50,000 into 4 MB, right? 50,000 into 4 MB. That's what the size that which you get when you go with append block, right? Now, let us go and look at how do we upload the data, right? If we go and change this to block, select this size as 100 MB, and then you can go and create a folder. Let us say that I want to create a folder within this. We'll go and create a test folder, demo test. And then you can go and upload the files from here. You see a folder option there. From there you can go and upload the files, right? Let us say that I'll upload this default, right? Okay. Right. So you have a folder created. Within that folder, the file is uploaded, right? And if you want to go with append block, you can go and select append block and put another folder append. You can upload a file here. Right? Likewise, you can go and use your storage to use for different types of blobs. Okay. So you also have a page blob and other stuff. With that is also simple and straightforward. But if you are creating a virtual machine and you are selecting that unmanaged disk, it will ask you for a storage account, right? Because your blobs will be there in your blobs will be in your blobs will be in a storage account, right? So if you are selecting a page blob, because if you are going with an unmanaged virtual machine, which means that it uses storage account, and you have to specify that storage account when you create a virtual machine with unmanaged. But these days by default it picks a managed account. That's the reason we don't see that storage account selection option and so on, right? Now, so this is how you can go and use your blobs. Let us go back. So you can create multiple containers. If you see it, you can create multiple containers. The number of containers that which you want, you can have as many as you want, right? Now let us go back to another to the storage account area itself, right? Let us go to the storage account. Now let me select the storage account that which I created. Okay, this is the storage account that which I created. Now we had seen blobs. We have seen blocks, right? Now what we'll do is we'll go with queues and tables. We'll see how do we get a queue or how do we create a table. Now, as I said, table is basically used. It's a NoSQL kind of stuff which will be used for structured data. If you are a programmer, then you can use these tables to store your data as well. Okay. Now, so it's a simple, straightforward. Click on tables. You go and select table, and we'll say the demo table, and this can be used whenever you are writing some code. You can go and use this table and append data into this particular table, right? So you use this URL, whatever you see here. Every table that which you create will get a URL. Using this URL, you will access this particular table. Okay, we'll discuss those things after this. And there's one more thing called as queues. Queue is basically if you have multiple applications or multiple layers within the application which need communication between them, right? So there will be a message which will be sent between two applications for the functionality. Then those type of situations you can go and use something called as queues. Again, this is used if you are a developer, you will be using this particular solution, right? Now, how do you create a queue? Just go to all the queues, create a new queue, and then let us say it as a demo. Right? Create a queue. Right? Now, similarly, you have something called as files. We'll come back to the files at the later point of time. Okay, we'll first go. We'll look at something other than this, then we'll come back to the files. Files is little important, and we will be using that in the real time. Okay. Now, so what we had seen is we had seen a storage account, we had seen 3 services, and how do we create or use queues or how do we create and use tables and so on, we had seen, right? But there are other options also. When you see, go and look at the storage account creation, there are 2 types of storage accounts. One is premium, right? Based on the performance, they divided into premium and they divided into what do you call it as standard, right? Now, based on what you select, these options may change. Okay, so whatever you had seen there when we created a standard V2, we had seen all the types of services, 4 types of services, right? But if you are going with premium, you may not get all those 4 services, right? So based on the premium or standard that what you select, you get the different types of services. Again, if you are in South India, if I go with premium, I'll get only storage V2 and storage V1. Based on the region, the options or the account types that whatever are available will also change, right? So we need to be very careful and understand. I think as this we discussed in our earlier classes also. Not all the options are available in all the regions, right? You need to go and look at whether the options that whatever you are looking when it comes to the storage are available in all the regions or not. If I go to central US, I can see within the premium, general purpose V2, general purpose V1, and there is a separate account for the blob storage itself, right? And they will have a file storage separately, right, which is in preview, which means that it's not yet in production. So what I'm trying to explain here is, based on the performance type you select and the region or the location you select, the account type that what you get may vary, and the replication type that what you get will also change, right? So just need to play around with these options to understand which option is available in which performance. And if you want to have use all the resources, all the types, look at all the type of account types, then most of the times I go with standard. I'll go with a location called central US, because most of the time you will have all the options here in the central US. Okay, so if you are selecting any other region, don't get panicked that if you don't see some of the options. So not all the options are available, not all the solutions are available in all the regions. Okay, so that is something that we need to understand, right? Let us go back. Let us go back to our resources that what we created, our storage account. Now this storage account, not necessarily you use using this portal, right? This can also be used in your programming, right? When you write a code, you can go and directly use, as I said, few of these options that what you have here can directly be accessed within the code, right? Now, for them to access these type of they can either directly access the entire storage account, or they can also access individual services within the storage account. Both of them are possible. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are a programmer, or if you want to access your storage account, you can access or give access to the entire storage account itself, right? Or if you want to go with a specific service, then you can go with a specific service, right? That is also possible. Okay, let us go and see how do we actually access them. You see here something called as access keys, right? You see something called as access keys, right? What is the use of this access keys? Use access keys to authenticate your application when making requests to the Azure storage account. What does it mean? Now, if you are a developer, you want to use this particular storage, and you want to point your code to your storage account, then what you do, you use this connection string, whatever you have. You go and put this in your code. This connection string has got something called as keys, right? You can see key 1 and key 2, right? You have key 1 and key 2, right? And each key has got a connection string, which is nothing but a URL. If you closely look into it, HTTPS account name equals to so and so, and then account key is nothing but this value. Account key is nothing but this value, right? And you also see end suffix core.windows.net, right? So whatever the storage account you create, it will be something like this. Okay, your storage account name .core.windows.net. That's how you will be accessing it. So since you are accessing a connection string, it will have a key, which can be either key 1 or key 2, and this entire connection string will be used whenever you are using that entire application, right? Now, let us say that if you got to know that the key is compromised, you can generate a new key by refreshing it, right? So you can generate a new key by refreshing it. Now what it says, to regenerate, the current key will become immediately invalid and not recoverable. Do you want to generate the key, access key for key 1? I'll say yes. So if you are regenerating this key, if you had embedded this particular key into any of your code in some of the applications, then you have to go and change this connection string again, right? So you have two keys when you go to the access keys. Either keys can be used, and when you are trying to use the entire storage account, you can go and select the connection string, give that to your developer, or if you yourself the developer, go and use this particular connection. Okay, that's how you can access the entire storage account apart from your portal also. There is one more way of accessing the storage account, which is nothing but Storage Explorer, which we will be seeing in a few minutes from now. Okay. Now, apart from this, there is something called as Shared Access Signature, which is called as SAS, Shared Access Signature. Right? A shared access signature is almost similar to your access keys. Here, you define permissions as well. Right? You can see it. A shared access signature SAS is a URI that grants restricted access to the storage resources. So what is that you are specifying here? A storage account will have multiple types of services. You can see it here: blob, file, queue, table, etc. Right? You can have multiple types of services, right? And to which service you want to provide access? If somebody is accessing this using a shared access signature, whether they get access to blob, whether they get access to file, whether they get access to queue or table, you can deselect or select based on your requirement. Now, what are those resources type? Is it service, container, or object? Allowed resources. And what permissions do they get? Whether they get read, write, list, what? Based on the permissions that what you give here, whoever is accessing this storage account using something called as shared access signature will be allowed only to perform those activities on the resources that what you select here. And if you see, you can also specify the start date and end date, start time and end time. Okay. Now you uploaded a file. Let us say that you uploaded a file into a blob, and you want to provide access to them only for 1 day. Okay, only for 1 day. Let us say that there is a video, and I am running a training institute. I want to provide a free access to those videos for 15 days, and I'll put them in a blob storage, and I can give access to them, and I'll specify, okay, from this date to this date these resources are available, right? That's how you can go and use that access signature. And you can also specify from which IP addresses you want to allow them to access, right? Whatever the IP addresses you are specifying here, only those IP addresses or IP address range will be allowed to access, right? You also have an IP address range which you can go and specify. And apart from this, what else do you have here? You have whether you want to allow a HTTP or HTTPS and signing key, right? And then you have an option called as generate SAS and connection string. Now, once you select the options that whatever you need, let us say that I want to allow only blob, right? And I'll specify this duration. You can generate by clicking on the generate SAS and connection string. You'll get a connection string, or you can get a SAS token, right? And then you can use this blob SAS URL to access your blob service because you selected only blob, right? Likewise, you can use a storage account at your application level by using an URI which is available in a shared access signature or within a access. Now I can use this using something called a storage explorer also. I can use this in my .NET coding, or I can also use this within my PowerShell, right? Now this is at storage account level. Okay, this is at storage account level. Can I go little deeper and use the same solution there? Yes, you can. But it means that you can use a SAS solution, which is shared access signature solution, at your blobs level also, at your blob level also, right? Let us quickly look into that. Let us go to the blob. Right? So within the blob you have a container. So within the container, why is it access denied? Failed to authenticate the request. So I think we did change something. Did we save that there within the storage account? Then we have to change it. Shared access signature. Oh, right. Okay, good. Okay. So this is how you can access a storage account, and we'll see how do we access that within the blob. We can go and select the blob. In the blob, you see the same options here, right? You can see what do you call it as SAS signature here, right? And you can also see something called as access keys also, right? So whatever we discussed, the same thing is available even at your block level, right? Given at your blob level, right? And if you have multiple types of what you call accounts, each account, different accounts, each account will have its own shared access key, or within that account you have services, each service will have its own access key and so on. So it's up to you whether you want to use that at the higher level, which means that at storage account level, or it's up to you whether you want to use at the individual service level as well, right? Likewise, you can go and what do you call generate your keys and use it whenever you are using some code or something. Okay. Now we'll quickly go into another tool which is called as Storage Explorer, Azure Storage. Now it's a small tool which can be downloaded. Right, you can see Azure Storage Explorer. Now this tool is used to basically manage your storage accounts, right? So it's a free tool. You can see access multiple accounts and subscriptions across Azure and Azure Stack and Sovereign Cloud, create, delete, and view storage resources, view and edit blobs, queues, tables, files, Cosmos DB storage, and data lake storage, obtain shared access signature SAS keys, that which we discussed, and it is available for all these operating. Right, let us quickly download and then see how does that it work. So I had already downloaded it and installed it. You can just download it. It's a simple straightforward installation, not a complex one, just next. So I installed this particular one for my earlier session. So let me go and show you Storage Explorer, an application which is already installed, right? You can install that on your Mac or Linux machine if you are using, or you can also install that on a Windows machine, right? So no compatibility issues as such. Let me go ahead and launch the Storage Explorer. Yeah. Right. So when you launch this particular thing, let me go and disconnect, remove my account. Right. So this is how the default. Okay. So is it fine now? I am just little closer to my mic. I'm getting audio problems. Is it fine? Fine now, guys? Are you able to hear me? Satish, are you able to hear me? Hello. Okay. Thanks. Right. So you see a storage explorer. This is the application that which we downloaded and we installed. Now this is how your default storage explorer will be, right? Now you can go and authenticate yourself using your Azure account also, right? So how do I do that? You see here an option called add account. Second option, you can go and click add account, and then you will be asked to enter your account details. Add Azure account, right? Which location, which type of Azure account you want. If it is Azure China, Germany, and there are specific, or I can go with just normal Azure, right? I'll go and click on sign in, which will ask me to enter my credentials, right? So I'll use my Azure credentials, right? Enter the password, then sign in. Right? Now you can see you got yourself authenticated using your subscription. Once you authenticate, you see all the storage accounts that what you have are visible here, right? All your resources that whatever you have are visible here, right? And you can also go and manage these things from here itself. You can create new table with a storage explorer table, right? You can create or manage things from here, right? So this is basically a GUI tool that which will help you to manage things from here, right? Likewise, you not necessarily be able to create queues and tables, but also you can add new file share. You can upload and download data within the blocks and so on, right? So if you want to create a new blob container, you can go and do it from here, right? You can also upload and download data from this particular tool to your blobs, right? You can go and upload files from here, right? You can go and upload your data as well. Right? You can see it. File is uploaded. So you can manage and create your storage account. If you want to create a new storage account, you can also do it from here. I think connect to Azure Storage. Okay. Right. Right. Likewise, you can manage things using Storage Explorer. Let us go again a little step back and try to get back to our shared access keys that whatever we discussed. Right. Now we discussed a shared access key at storage account level, and we also discussed about the shared access key at your individual service level as well. Let us try to go back and take this shared access key to access it using our storage explorer, right? Let us first go with access keys, and then we'll go with hash. Two ways, as I said. Let us first go with access, and let me use this access key and access my storage account within the storage explorer or using the storage explorer, right? Just click on access keys, right? I'll copy the connection string. It can be key 1 or key 2. I'll go with key 1, right? Now how do you access this particular what do you call it as storage account using this string is nothing but you have an option here called add account. Right click on add account. Right, so what type of string you want to use, right? What type of feature you want to use. If you have a SAS, then you go and select this, right? Now, if you have a connection string, you can go and use this. If you have an account name and key, you will use this. And there is something called as attach to a local emulator, right? Now, I'll go with use connection string. Say next. Now, what it will ask is it will ask you the connection string, which I just copied. I'll paste here, right? Our display name will say that connection or access key. Say the display name for our understanding purpose. We'll put it as access key and click on connect. Click on connect. So what it should do is it should basically take you to your storage account and it should display all the entities that whichever are part of your storage account, right? All the services. Not responding. Okay, say next and then connect. Right, now you can see something called as within the storage account, this is something called as shared access key, and using the shared access key also you can access all the resources, right? You can also access all the resources. Now let us say that you want to use SAS keys, not access keys. Okay, let us say that you want to use the other way of accessing it. Let us say that you want to use shared access signature. So go and copy the shared access signature from here, and you can also access it using shared access signature. Right, now you can specify what service you want. Let us say that only blob service. Let us say that only blob service I want, and I want only read access. Let us think so. I want only read access. Right, and then let us leave everything as default and just try to generate a SAS connection string. Right, and this connection string, what is extracted, you will be using this connection string, right? Blob SAS URL. Let me go and copy this shared access signature from here, and I'll go and try to access this using my storage explorer. Same option, whatever, add account. This time what I will be using, I will be using shared access signature, right? So this SAS URI. Select this, say next, enter the URI here. Then I'll change the name for our identification purpose. Then say next and then connect. Now, if you see it, if I access using that shared access signature, what I can see only blob container because I selected only blob here. I didn't select the other services, right? That's the reason only blob service is visible here. Correct? Let me say if I can go and upload something to this. Let me see if I can go and upload something to this particular blob that what we already have. Files. Select the files. I'm uploading something from my local account, local system. Yes, upload. It says uploading group complete 0. Let us see whether it uploads or not. Right? You see an error message. Now let us see what is this error message. Unknown. Okay, we'll try to upload some other. So ideally what it should show is it should show you saying that I think because of this file type it is trying to say so. Ideally, what it should say is, because you don't have write permissions, because we didn't provide write permissions to this particular what do you call it as storage account, right? You don't have write permissions at all. Whoever are using this particular URI or URL, they will get what type of access? They'll get only read and delete and list permissions, right? They will not get permissions to write or upload something to the container or to the blob, right? So ideally, you should be seeing access denied message. Let me try to upload some other file. Let us try to upload. See if I can upload a text file. So you can use the storage explorer to upload and download data to your file shares. We'll be looking at file shares tomorrow. I think today it is not possible. It's very useful tool. You can use that either for your blobs or file shares or even queues and tables also, right? You also see this option for other things like your Cosmos DB and data lake and other stuff also, right? Wait for that to complete. Oh, happened. Okay, we'll come back to this. Let it take its own time. We'll come back to this. We'll see what will be the result, right? So this is about the storage explorer, and you also have a storage explorer in preview mode. I think within this you can also see a storage explorer in preview mode in the storage account itself. That can also be used. Where is that storage explorer? Yeah, you can see a storage explorer. The same, say instead of downloading it, if you want to use it here from the Azure portal also. They have that now as a preview, which means that not yet in production. They can still use it, right? So you will get the same options that whatever you had seen when you downloaded the file and kind of perform certain activities. You can do the same thing here using the storage explorer within the portal as well. So that is also another option which you can use. But most of the times you use storage explorer which is downloaded, right? So I'm just waiting for this to complete. I just want to simulate that what do you call it as environment as because you selected only read only, it should not allow you to kind of okay. We'll wait for that to complete, or we'll look at that tomorrow when we start. That should not be a problem. Right. So this is about the blocks and tables and queues. We'll be discussing one thing in more in specific, which is nothing but the file service. So that's another topic that which we will be looking at. There is some solution called as file sync, where you can use a solution to sync your on-prem file servers to your Azure also, which means that you have a file share or file server on-prem. You can sync that particular on-prem server to your cloud for disaster recovery or some other solution, that whatever you want. It's more, if you are a Windows guy and if you know distributed file system DFS solution, if you have heard about it, then it is a similar solution where the replication between two file servers will happen, and if you make any changes on one file server, the changes will be replicated to the other file server in a different location also, right? So similar solution. You can not necessarily, you can not only replicate it to cloud, but also through cloud you can also replicate to other servers in different geographical locations, right? So that is something that which we will be looking at tomorrow. And first part will be that maybe somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll look at something called as CDN, content delivery network. So this is another important and interesting topic, right? So if let us say that you have users located in multiple geographical locations, and you have a file server or web server in India. If somebody is accessing from Germany or US or different locations, so what they have to do, they have to come all the way to India over the internet and access it, right? So because of the geography and other stuff. Now what you do is you configure something called as CDN, content delivery network, which basically creates another server region wise, which is called as edge server, right? And that edge server will cache the files and make sure that users will get enough performance when they are trying to access the resources in a different geographical location, right? So CDN is one of the service. Storage is one of the service that can be used along with CDN. So that's what we are going to go and look at tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow our agenda will be file shares and CDN, content delivery network, and then we'll also look at this uh, storage explorer, because it is behaving not as expected, and then try to upload this data and revalidate this once again. Okay, and we'll be using the storage explorer for our file shares also, to upload the files and download the files and other stuff. Okay, I'll pause here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We can take, otherwise I think we are done for today. Any questions? You feel free to ask. Okay, so if no questions, then I think we'll catch up tomorrow in the morning at the same time. Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day.